the TA is a total betrayal of us as UPS workers by the union leadership. In my view, it's a sellout. It is a concessionary contract. We shouldn't mince words about it. We should vote it down.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
All right, 201 caller, you are on the air. Tell us where you're calling from and what your name is.
Hey, this is Audrey. I'm calling from North Jersey. I'm a UPS Teamster and Local 177.
Audrey from New Jersey, Teamster Local 177. Thank you for calling in. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say I think the TA is a total betrayal of us as UPS workers by the union leadership. In my view, it's a sellout. It is a concessionary contract. I think we shouldn't mince words about it, and I think we should vote it down. I know you all were talking about it earlier, saying that maybe it's disempowering to say that it's a sellout or it has concessions, but I think we should call it as we see it. And I think to say it's a sellout means actually we know we have the power to demand more. And I also think, based on everyone I'm in touch with, what I'm seeing online, I think it's not true that across the board people think this is a solid win. I think a lot of people are rightly upset about a lot of the different issues in it.
Are you noticing a difference in the online reaction and what folks are telling you at work? Are you a driver or a part-timer?
I'm a part-timer. I'm a sorter.
What are people in your hub saying?
I mean, in my hub, it's mixed. People are saying that, well, there is a raise. It's better than the previous contracts. But, I mean, that's a pretty low bar to be just saying because it's better than the blatant sellout contracts under the previous leadership like HOFA. That means we should accept it. I think a lot of people, it's hard work. It's very hard work, and the cost of living is high. And I've been telling people about the demand for $25 an hour, and people are on board with that. They see that, 21 is honestly a slap in the face. And I have a lot of coworkers who have been there over 20 years, and to have a one-time $1.50 catch-up raise, I think is an insult. So I think, a lot of people want to fight for more. It varies whether people think it's a total sellout or if they think, there are some good, there are some gains in it, but I think people want to fight. And when I've told them we should vote no, I set up a table outside my building the last few days. People are excited about that idea, because we're told we should just accept whatever we're given. We should just trust the union leadership, especially because they're kind of have this militant facade. But, I'm saying no, we should fight for more. And I think people, see why we should do that.
Is there anything, are there any other provisions in the contract that you and, your the folks that are involved at your hub in trying to get people to vote no? Is there anything other than the wage increase in particular, or is it really the 25 is kind of the animating thing?
So also I will say I have been involved with Teamsters Mobilize. I know you all have had Jose on before. So yeah, I've been working with them to push this demand for 25, but definitely it's larger than just the wages, and larger than just, part-time issues. I think it was mentioned earlier, but there is this new, yet another two-tier or another tier system with this contract where the new part-timers are only going to reach 23 by the end of the contract. And I think we shouldn't accept that. We shouldn't say, yeah, it's fine for our future coworkers to be only, getting 50 cents a year raise. And in terms of other issues like subcontracting and PVDs, we're on the IBT materials of a strike issue, but that's in this contract. Right now, it's just saying, part-timers get the opportunity to use our own cars to deliver packages. And I think, this was mentioned earlier too, but only the RPCDs won't be forced for the sixth punch for overtime. everyone, like part-time workers, inside workers, combo, air, other full-time workers, like we're still going to be forced the sixth punch. So, yeah, it's good for the drivers. I'm glad for them, but we should be fighting for all UPS workers. There's other things too, like in terms of the issues with the drivers. It's good that there are some ACs added, but I think we shouldn't accept just like 29,000 or just the new trucks. We're in a position with these negotiations to demand a lot more, and they came to that agreement pretty quickly. Those non-economic demands, like a while ago. Just a few other big issues I see in this contract. It says UPS can shift to a 7-day work week to compete with Amazon, and all they have to do is inform the Teamsters. Like, we shouldn't accept that. Working people in this country fought for a weekend, and now we're just giving that up. One other thing is, outside my building a few months ago, I met some feeder drivers out of Minneapolis. They're running this campaign called No COLA, No Contract, fighting for cost of living adjustment for the pensions, because there isn't that right now.
Right.
So if you look at they have some graphs on their website. It's pretty crazy how much you lose every year with your pension benefits as inflation goes up. And that's another thing. The union leaders decided, we're not going to fight for this. And I've heard from other people who are kind of combing through the tentative agreement, right now and in the last few days, that there's a lot of other issues. So I think, we shouldn't accept this. We should absolutely fight for more.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm interested in, you were pushing back at, as is totally your right, and it's, I'm totally willing to accept, that's where you're coming from. But, do you see where there are, folks that, like Jane McAlevey, but not only her, the UPS Teamsters that are, coming out and saying that this is, that we don't want to call it a sellout contract or anything because of the, that it's kind of disempowering and maybe, doesn't recognize enough some of the work that's been done over the last year, and even by the bargaining committee.
To that, I would say we should, yes, there's the context and the history of the Teamsters leadership being totally openly corrupt, the mob and all that, and, forcing contracts on people. But I think we shouldn't just look at the past and how negotiations have gone in the past, because in comparison to that, you could call a lot of things a victory. I think we should be looking at what actually have UPS workers been fighting for? For decades, but also especially in the last 5 years since the last contract, and how much kind of leverage and power did we have and do we still have in these contract negotiations to fight for a lot? And I think in that context, in the context of we've had a lot of demands as UPS workers, and then in these negotiations, the union leadership did an NDA. They kept us in the dark, just like previous union leadership, even though they said they wouldn't. They reached an agreement that, the CEO had said is a win-win-win. Like President Biden said he's very happy with this agreement. We've worked, the workers and the employer have worked out their differences. That should be very, very concerning to us. They're trying to tell us that basically we're equals sitting at a table, and it's only fair, that UPS gets to make billions off our labor so long as they spend a little more on wages and benefits, put a few more ACs in, and then, a few ACs in to start, and then that, we should be happy. In my view, the way I'm looking at this is, and I've seen this in the chat too, there's no fair contract between UPS and us as UPS workers. There's no, that slogan, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work, does not exist, because the only way that UPS and every other corporation runs and makes profit is by exploiting us. I mean, we all know, like, they pay us as little as they can to squeeze as much as they can out of us. I mean, and that's how, like, the whole system is set up. You know, we live in this capitalist society. The capitalists own all the companies and everything we need to produce the things we need to live. And so we're forced to work in horrible conditions and for low pay just to be able to survive. And, you know, in order to maintain this whole system, the status quo, like, the government, I think, is just basically a machine that serves those capitalists for them to keep their power. Like, we all saw that last year when Biden and then the Democrats and the Republicans in Congress worked together hand in hand, including AOC, who's now coming out in New York and saying, you know, working class has to fight back. Like, they all work together to crush the rail strike. So I think given this larger situation in these negotiations, like right now, what we're going to do, how we fight, is going to affect our lives for the next 5 years, but also more broadly, you know, in the labor struggle. So we should fight as hard as we can to force UPS to give us as much as possible. I think that includes striking. And I mean, union leadership was talking a big game about going on strike. And then they didn't do it. And I mean, that's actually not that surprising, because kind of this whole time, O'Brien and the rest of leadership have been saying, like, if we strike, it's because UPS is striking themselves, right? Like, it's not something that workers ever want to do. You know, it's only if we're backed in the corner. And I mean, we should take this situation into our hands. I think we need to vote this down. I think we need to push for a strike too, because honestly, I think if we vote it down, which I hope we do, probably what the union leadership wants to do is just go back to negotiate. That's what they did when the ABF workers voted down that their local supplement. I don't know if you all followed that. So yeah, I think for me, like, we need to see this larger context. And just, I know I've been talking for a bit, but just to say, like, a few more things. I think for everyone who's watching this fight, I mean, UPS workers obviously were in this, but for everyone else, like, you have to take a stand. I think if you're saying that this is a good TA that we should accept, you are siding with the company, with the government, which was pushing to have no strike, with the union leadership, which I think is selling us out. So I think we have to take a stand. And just to say, tomorrow, Teamsters Mobilize is hosting a webinar about a no vote campaign, why we think we should vote no, how we want to work with as many people as possible to vote this thing down and push for more. I know we all have a lot of different ideas and some disagreements, even, on, is this actually a sellout, or how do we view the union leadership? But I think for all of us who can agree that this is not enough, we have to come together. We have to fight together. So if you go to teamstersmobilize.com, we have a webinar at 3 p.m. Eastern in English, and then 5 p.m. Eastern in Spanish. So yeah, that's,
right.
Those are my thoughts. Thanks so much for having me.
Yep. Aubrey from North Jersey. Appreciate the call. And I did want to respond really quickly to just, some of the sentiment in the chat. And there's, one brother, I've been at UPS for 33 years. These part-timers crack me up. If you don't like the pay, then go find another job that pays $21 an hour with a pension and full-time benefits. Oh yeah, you won't find one. And, it's certainly true that UPS is, industry leading in a lot of ways, but it's not because, people just kind of took it and said, yeah, this is the best that, any, corporation is willing to give me. So that's all that I deserve. Right. And I do hope that even people that are willing to, that are going to be voting yes on the contract, I do hope that, that there can be some amount of mutual respect between folks, because and it's also, it's not even necessarily true that there's nowhere else. I saw an article yesterday that Uline in Wisconsin is filling 120 jobs starting at $29 an hour. There is a Smucker's factory that is opening soon in Gadsden, Alabama, that's starting $23 an hour with health benefits from day one. Obviously, they're not going to have a pension, but you're starting to get kind of comparable compensation there.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
But let's bring on the next caller, 714.
Buenos dias, gentlemen. Buenos dias, Adam. Buenos dias, Jake. I don't know how hard. It's pretty hard to go after Audrey. It's like trying to do a set after James Brown just left the stage or Prince. It's pretty good. But one thing that you guys mentioned was the pension. I don't know. Teddy's out in the East. I don't know where Paul Prescott's at in the country, but I'm out here in the West. And I'm sorry if I want to be a little bit emotional, but out here in our West, our pension is good. Our pension is solid. We've never risked investing in stocks with a high risk and a high reward, like other areas did. Central States, New England Pension Fund. I don't know where they invested their money, but we all know those two pensions out there are failing. I think critical. I forget the terminology the government has, critical and failing or something like that. But ours out here in the West, it's strong. We're fully funded. We have enough in reserves to pay the current retirees and the future retirees that are coming in. So why is it that our pension has to be frozen? Why aren't we getting any new contributions in our pension? And this is not just in the West. There's some other areas in the country too where they're getting no new contribution into their pension. Right. So that is a problem. Once the membership gets a hold of it out here in the West, believe me, all these full-timers, they do say stuff about the part-timers because I've heard it. I've heard it for so long. But one thing they do care about is their pension. And once all that, we see the supplements, because they've been hiding those supplements out here in the West from us, a revolt's going to happen because you cannot freeze our pension. Why? Should we help other Teamsters? Yes, we should. But should there be no new contributions for 5 straight years because we accepted another 5-year contract? And Jane Malkamani, we were mentioning, I call her La Maestra. She advocates in that article that she just published in The Nation, she talks about she doesn't agree with the 5-year contract. Right? So our pension has to be frozen for 5 years? Come on now. Come on. And we're talking about TDU. Where's TDU at? If this was Hoffa, they'll be up in their outroar fighting for this. But because you wanted a seat at the table, you ain't a reformer no more. I apologize. There's some good people in TDU, some great people. But guess what? You want to have a seat in the table? Guess what? Sit there and take it now, because you chose to do that because you wanted a seat at the table. So to me, they've done some great work. They do some great educational stuff, but this decision for them to support O'Brien, well, they knew about O'Brien and what he did in 2013, and they knew what O'Brien said about them in one of the New England states. I want to maybe say New Hampshire, but I could be wrong. They do know, but they chose to have some sort of agreement with them, and they ran with them. Now we're talking about wages, right, for part-timers, for new hires. So if you look at the 2018 contract, in 2013, the first year of that contract, a new hire got $13. The second year, they got $14. The third year, they got $14.50. The third year, they got $14.50. The fourth year, they got $15. The last year of the contract, they got $15.50. Overall, they got $2.50. Let's compare this to our contract right now. A new hire will come in at 23. Will come in at 21, excuse me. And then 21.50. And then 22. Then 22.50. Then 23. So for all this talk about Hoffa, and then Hoffa was a business unionist, don't get me wrong, but he got $2.50 for a new hire. This contract only gives a new hire $2. Now, a $21, could it go far in Alabama? Yes. But guess what's going to eat at it? Inflation.
Right.
And then we talk about 2 tiers. We have a multi-tier system now for a new package car driver. I have my notes right here. For a new package car driver, right? The first year they go at 23, and then 24, 25 the third year, 30, 75 the fourth year, and then top rate. Top rate, I think I don't know what it'll be at, but they'll go at top rate. For a 22-3, a full-time inside job, they go at 23, 24, 25 the third year, 28 the fourth year, and then they'll top off at top rate at 35.94. Isn't that a 2-tier wage system right there? They're both full-timers, but one is getting a bigger increase at the end of the fourth year than a 22-3. And then we still have a 3 hour and a half daily guarantee for part-timers. Me and others throughout this country, when we had our contract proposals, proposed a 4-hour guarantee. Some probably put 5 because the operation could run at 5.
Right.
And so some operations run at 5 hours. My operation kind of runs at like the 5-hour mark. But we shouldn't be accepting these 3.5-hour guarantees when the preload, there's a little bit more crunch because the drivers have to leave. They try to cram as much work. Well, they have to cram all that work to get that work out. They cram all that work for those 3.5 hours. That's unacceptable in my eyes. And then you got Article 40 for the air workers. The preamble is still there. What says that the supplements will I think it says the supplements will supersede the national masters. I wish my friend Matt Coverhody was here because he's the more of an Article 40 expert, but that didn't get touched. So these $21, yeah, it'll go far, but inflation will eat at it. So to me, I'm voting no. I'm recommending a no vote, and Audrey talked about the Teamster Mobilize. We are going to have a webinar, tomorrow. So I hope everybody could join. If you're on Instagram, it'll just be just Teamster Mobilize. But we have a Twitter. It says Teamsters, and then Mobilize is spelled Mobilz. So and then another 5-year contract. A 5-year contract is going to lock us in for $30 billion, which is cool. You know what it does too? Locks us out of new money that UPS is going to get. Because if at the end of in January of 2024, the annual report, right, for UPS comes out, and we find out they made $12 billion in profit revenue, probably another $100 billion or $90 billion in profit revenue. And then next year at this time, when the second quarter earnings come out, and they made around $3 to $4 billion, we've lost big money. We left big money on the table. We've lost big money on the table. And then we talk about the ACs in the car. We had our brother out there in Arizona basically have a heat stroke, I think it was, when he was walking. And everybody's seen it, and the Ring camera catches, and he's walking to deliver a package. You're going to think UPS saw that and be like, dude, we got to do damage control.
Right.
And when the Teamsters went in there and said, we want AC, you guys got it. Whatever you guys want, you guys got it. Because why? That image spoke 1,000 words.
Right.
That image alone. But guess what? These hubs where all the part-timers and the inside workers work, you walk in there, it's like walking in the sauna. Within 5 minutes, you feel that heat just bear hug you. And if you don't know how to work properly because you're trying to impress the boss, if you're a new hire and you're thinking you're Superman, you're loading your first hour, you're like 3 walls in, like, yes, I got it. The second hour, the third hour, that's when the problems happen because you're working yourself to exhaustion. We still have no proper ventilation. Just because you move a trailer a couple inches off the dock door to get some air in, that's proper ventilation. I mean, we need some fans, or we need something out here in these hubs, So that's my argument why we should vote no.
Appreciate your call, Jose. Do what?
No problem. Thank you. No, I was going to say that, I don't know what top rate for drivers is going to be. It'll probably be around 49 maybe.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what it says. It's 49.
Yeah, so we know how inflation is. That's going to eat that. That's giving that's no real purchasing power. All these drivers, you know what? They've worked hard. They earned what they've got.
Yeah.
But guess what? What you could do 10 years ago, you probably won't be able to do it now. Because why? Inflation is going to eat at it and eat at it. And then if they jack up another interest rate hike on us again, it's not going to be good. To me, it's a no vote. It has to be a no vote. And for all these drivers say, "Oh, go find a job somewhere else." No, we're not going to find a job somewhere else. This is our career. This is our home, and we're going to fight as hell to make it a livable house for everybody inside. So if you enjoy talking that smack about part-timers, hey buddy, why don't you go into management? You're already a bootlicker for management anyways.
Appreciate the call, Jose. As always, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for this space. Gracias.
Absolutely.
I like Jose. Jose got some passion to him.
He does. Jose is actually probably one of the, Jose and Will are one of the Teamster, are two UPS Teamsters that have been on, that have been viewers of the show for probably the last year. They've been around for a while, and we really appreciate them.
Shout outs to Jose.
We got another caller on the line, 317 area code. 317 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Will Hale. I'm calling out of Denton, Texas. I'm a part-timer and a shop steward. Obviously, as a part-timer, I'm not happy with the language around wages. We didn't get the catch-up raises for long-time part-timers that we needed. This sacrifices the new hires and basically locks in the turnover problem at UPS. Makes part-time a dead-end job for anybody hired after this contract goes into effect. Also, the AC language, I find it to be weak. We lost a brother of ours in Denton, Texas. He had a heat stroke on the highway. He'll never drive a package car again. It's amazing that he's talking and doing the walking that he's doing. This AC language, this will the company, they will drag their feet. Okay, we had fans negotiated into the last contract, right? It took the death of a brother in Waco. It took our brother having a heat stroke and injuring himself terribly on the highway for the company to finally get the fans in the trucks. The grievance process did not get us anywhere. Our leadership was not willing to fight for us. So my question, every time I see something about strong language, my question is, what is the mechanism of enforcement? And if it's some national committee of backslapping bureaucrats, that's nothing. That's nothing to us. All right. They said they were going to pull. They said they were going to pull the cameras out of the trucks. That was a strikeable issue. The company has promised to pull or to shut the cameras off, but they're not pulling them out of the trucks. Okay, how long? Next contract, once they've got them all in the trucks, the company will say, "Oh no, we actually want to, record the drivers now, and what are you guys willing to give up so that we don't do that?" Okay, there's no good faith between us and the company. All right, and everybody needs to understand that. Everybody needs to see past. I mean, obviously the economics, for me, it's a disappointment on the part-time side, but everybody also needs to see past the economics and see that a lot of these wins are half wins or quarter wins painted as big wins. I hear a lot of scaremongering about a strike. I hear a lot of scaremongering about full-timers getting bumped up into the hub and displacing part-timers. Okay, part-timers, we're acutely aware of that. We just went through a whole thing where they were pulling 22-4s off the road and bumping them up into the hub and displacing part-timers. All right, so we know. Okay, we know the risks. All right, it's not and obviously it's a risk, but the thing that I'll leave y'all is, what would history look like if brave people didn't grab their brothers and sisters and take a leap of faith? So vote no. Thanks for doing what y'all are doing, and I'll get off the call and let other people speak.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.